everybody, welcome back to another Opinionated Musings of Eric and Tim and Dayton. With me again, as usual, Mr. Eric Brock.
Hey.
And Mr. Dayton Johnson.
Hello.
My name is Tim. This time we are going to be counting down our top 5 female artists and groups.
This was a lot of fun to research. I had to condense mine to a small period of time. Otherwise, I was going to go nuts.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Mine is still kind of all over the map. Like I got some rock. There's some pop kind of in there, and then some not of any.
All right.
Mine is pretty much what I did on mine. I just basically picked bands or females that I listen to on a regular basis. Now, this is just my top 5, so I'm sure some people would disagree with a lot of these, but so
that's why we do the list, because it's our list, right?
Why it's called the Opinionated Musings.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So,
all right, who wants to go first?
Honorable mentions.
Yeah, all right.
My honorable mentions are basically the reason they're honorable mentions is because, like I said, they're not stuff that I listen to on a regular basis. Like the heavy metal band, I guess you'd call them heavy metal, power metal, whatever you want to call it. The band Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
They have Alyssa as their lead singer, and she's definitely a power singer like that, and she's smoking hot. But I don't listen to Arch Enemy that much. Another one would be like Lady Gaga, who I definitely think is a talented singer and can sing very good, but I don't really find myself listening to her music ever. So
I had Gaga on my list.
Did you?
Up until today, when I thought, okay, it should be somebody that I actually seek out to listen. And while I think she's got an amazing voice and she's incredibly talented, I don't seek out her tunes. So she came off my list for that reason.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. So I could have had more honorable mentions. I left it too. But there's a ton of other ones. So who wants to go next for honorable mentions?
Right. Who you got, Dayton?
All right. Well, I have a couple. The first one is somebody I came across when I was doing my research. Her name is Sharon Den Adel from the band Within Temptation. They're from the Netherlands. Amazing voice. Absolutely spectacular. Yeah, I know. And honestly, there's actually a couple bands from the Netherlands that came up on my stuff, and they have female singers, and they're just very their voices are amazing, and they're very symphonic metal, lots of keyboards, lots of just very popular in Europe, not quite breaking in over here. Although one of the Within Temptations, their 6th album, they had some guest performers on it, including the lead singer from Soul Asylum and the rapper Exhibit, and some other people performed on it. But yeah, they don't seem to cross over to this. But and after listening to them, I can see why they're not very mainstream at all. It's considered orchestral or symphonic metal. Okay. So yeah, but there are a
lot of bands in that genre that have good-looking female singers. It seems like I see on YouTube.
Yeah, and her, especially her voice, was quite just a big range, and just very melodic, very pretty. Like the lady from Arch Enemy, ferocious voice, and I just couldn't listen to that. They just didn't do it for me. But another honorable mention, which I'm sure is going to get me in trouble, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. It doesn't matter how many times I listen to them, I just don't care. It's like I should like them, but it's just there's nothing. I hear them on the radio, I'm like, but I can hear that there's talent. I hear there's quality there, but it just doesn't do it for me.
That's kind of where I am with them too.
No, absolutely nothing wrong.
But I'm like, I go,
they don't grab me,
Right. And I have one more. I have to mention her because she's just super awesome. I didn't know where to put her as far as category, but Lindsey Sterling, the violinist. If you've ever listened to her, she's amazing. She makes playing the violin cool. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
She's
a super geek, which is awesome with me.
Yeah, absolutely. She does lots of geek inspired stuff. She does versions of video games songs. She did stuff with Evanescence. So she does with other performers. So and she got popular just through her YouTube channel, and that's how she started doing it. And I know for a fact that somebody
And she was on one of the early seasons of America's Got Talent too.
Yes, she was.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, she's just fun to watch and has a nice wide variety of stuff that she does.
She's somebody that I'm almost kicking myself for not including because I like her a lot too. All right. Well, my honorable mention, I've only got one, and it is Maria Brink, the singer for "In This Moment."
Okay.
Just didn't quite make my list because as much as I love her voice and I like "In This Moment," there's this point where "In This Moment" goes a different direction and I can't stand it. It's when they go into and I hate every band that does this. It doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl.
The growl?
It is the Chewbacca throat, microphone down the throat vocals. Sounds like, the garbage disposal chewing something up. I hate it.
I don't
hate
understand. And I mean, I know a lot of people dig that, so there's got to be something there. But
yeah.
I don't know how many times I've been listening to something and the music is killer.
Yeah.
And even maybe the first verse is real melodic, the way they're singing, and I'm like, how have I not heard this?
And then
band?
they get
and
to
then
that
they
first
go,
chorus.
It sounds It all sounds the same to me.
Like
and maybe I'm just a grumpy old
fast
man.
enough. I can't get to the skip button any faster.
Right. And I'm thinking, boy, I liked everything up to that point.
And maybe that just makes us crotchety old men, but I don't know. I don't get it.
See, I don't think so because, I mean, some people would say that about Testament and Chuck Billy's voice, but
I see that genre as kind of an evolution of that. And honestly, as much as I still like Testament, that was part of where like they kind of started veering away from what I really wanted to listen to and why I don't listen to them more often, probably. Because I gravitate towards the melodic singers.
Right. And I definitely agree that at some point, because I have friends that love the death metal category, I guess is the best way to put it, with that horrible growl, and I can't get into it either. And it's usually unfortunate because there's lots of talent behind with that music. And
killer drums, amazing guitars.
Well, let me ask you guys this, to get your opinion. Is it just me, or does the vast majority of the growling all sound like it's the same person doing it in all these bands?
Yeah.
I mean, it always sounds
I agree.
the same to me.
I think once you get down below a certain frequency level, it's just impossible to differentiate the nuances of the voice. Maybe somebody who listens to the stuff all the time can probably chime in and say, "Oh yeah, here's where you look for how you can tell who is who." But also a lot of people that aren't guitar players could probably say, I can't tell who's who. Whereas you go, oh, that's Eddie Van Halen. That's Eric Johnson. I can tell you that's Stevie Ray, from in 2 notes. And people are like, how?
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Far be it from me because I mean, I record music and it's instrumental stuff, so it's very limited and its audience. So somebody out there likes it, and I don't want to bash it, but it's just not for me.
Right. Go ahead, Eric.
Mr. Brock, you're up first.
Now, looking at my list here.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Just about all these except maybe one is, old. So my number 5 is the Go-Go's.
Oh, I love the Go-Go's.
Oh, okay. I thought Dave.
Another band that almost made my list.
Yeah, no, I love the Go-Go's. They're actually on my 80s playlist. I have a few of their songs on there.
Super melodic stuff. I think the song "Our Lips Are Sealed" is just such a greatly crafted pop song. But I can deep dive on some of their albums, and I like the majority of them. I really like Belinda's voice. Mm-hmm. If you don't like Belinda's voice, you're probably not going to like the Go-Go's. I do. She's got that cute girl next door sound, but when they first started, they were a punk band.
Yeah, they were.
And it was cool. So.
And they admit they were terrible as a punk band.
Some of it was not good. Yeah.
Right.
But, they just released a song called Club Zero. I don't know. It might be like a year or so old now, but it's really, really catchy, really good too. So.
Well, they have a documentary coming on Showtime soon too.
I watched that already.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Really good.
All right. I'll go next.
All right.
My number 5, kind of tracking right along with Eric, is the Bangles.
Okay.
Real close to being on my list.
Real close. Yeah, it's they're just, like you said with the Go-Go's, just super melodic, really good pop songwriting. Years ago, gosh, when was it? Probably shortly after we got married in 2001. So somewhere between there and 2004, while my wife and I were living in Dayton, we were in Germantown, just kind of south of Dayton. She won on the radio some tickets to a Bangles concert. They were actually appearing at, of all places, a comedy club. They had closed down and were having like a special acoustic only show because they were getting ready to release they had an acoustic album.
Oh, okay.
And so we got to go and sit in there and see them do all their hits acoustic. And I'm telling you what, that was a great show.
Yeah, nice.
Really good. Nice. And I mean, they sounded as immaculate in the early 2000s as they did in the 80s. They were just
nice.
On point.
I have to admit of having a severe crush back then, and it goes right to today, Susanna Hoffs. I think Susanna Hoffs is just adorable.
And it doesn't help that the woman hasn't aged.
All right, well, I guess I'm going to be the one that does the more modern choices. So my first one is HAYLEY Williams from Paramore. Okay, now I'm doing my research on her. I mean, I've heard them on the radio a lot, and I have lots of friends that love them, and they're a quality band, and I really enjoy listening to them on the radio. I don't own any of their stuff, but I won't turn them off, and I do have them on some playlists. But doing some research, HAYLEY Williams actually got a solo record deal, and she said, no, I want to be in a band, and they wanted her to do pop music, and she said, no, I want to do rock alternative, and it's either that or nothing. And so I'm like, that's respect right there. That's just, and they're still going strong, and she's got a great voice, and the band is, they're fun to listen to. They're, a little edgy at times and a little, poppy at times, but it all works. And I have a friend of mine who's a huge fan of hers, and but yeah, it's just one of those that they're always good to listen to. I haven't really heard a bad song from them. So
all right, we're back around to Eric for number 4.
Let me check my list. The band is called Dead Sarah, and they have a girl lead singer named Emily Armstrong. Is one of you familiar with the band Dead Sarah?
Never.
I don't know. Their first album came out in 2012. I think they've only got actually 2 official albums, and then I think they've done maybe some EPs or something like that since then. But I don't even remember how I found them, but I heard a song and I really, really liked Emily's voice, and so I looked into that album, and it's one of the few bands. I mean, excluding Rush and Kiss, where I have all the albums, but on my actual iPod, iPhone, all that stuff. It's one of the few bands that I have the entire album on, and I like every song. And it's got a lot to do with Emily's voice. She's got a pretty cool, unique voice.
All right, my number 4 is a guitarist named Orianthi.
Nice. Yeah, she almost made a list too.
She's had some pop popularity. She had one pop kind of single tune, According to You. Yeah, she is just a flat-out awesome guitarist.
Yeah, she is.
I mean, who's your number 4, Dayton?
All right, so believe it or not, Gwen Stefani is my number 4, and this is her No Doubt years, not her solo stuff, because that shit's bananas. Anyway, sorry, I had to do it.
I see what you did there.
I know, right? No, because they've been around for a long time, but it wasn't until their 3rd album, Tragic Kingdom, that really saved the band's career, and a lot of that was based on the relationship she had with was it Tony Kanal, and how it ended. And she put a lot of those feelings, a lot of those emotions into the songwriting, and it came through in the album. And that album went nuts. It went bananas. But the funny thing is, as great as that album was, I will argue to this day that Return to Saturn is a much better album than the one after that. even though it did not sell as well and do as well, it's still a better album. And mostly because of her songwriting. I love those albums. I own both of those albums. They're great albums.
I think that's one we're going to have to just differ on. I've never been into No Doubt for even half a second. All right.
So number 3. My number 3 is the Runaways, and
nice.
I'm lumping Lita Ford's, solo career and Joan Jett's solo career, kind of in there too.
Okay.
And I probably listen to more Lita Ford and Joan Jett solo stuff than I do actual Runaway stuff. But I think you kind of have to include them just because they were almost kind of like history making.
Oh, absolutely.
All girl hard rock band back then was pretty much unheard of.
All right. My number 3 is staying in that 80s kind of vein, Pat Benatar.
Nice.
Let me guess, I just swiped one of Eric's right off there.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, that's a great choice. I mean, how could you not put her on the list? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, she's iconic. I mean, I'll tell you, one of the things that really stood out to me in recent years as to how good she is, my wife loves watching American Idol. I really could care less about the show, but one season there was, I think, one episode where Pat Benatar was on, and she was like a coach or mentor to the crew of contestants that season. And she, the night they all performed, she also did a performance, and it was just like, that is exactly what everybody else competing on this show is never going to be.
I found a concert, or not really a concert, but like a show. It was just her and her husband, who is also her guitar player.
Right.
Just doing like acoustic songs. And they did like maybe 5 or 6 of her hits. And this is probably only, 3 or 4 years old. And she sounded fantastic.
This was probably around the same time because he was on the show with her.
Number 3. This one actually kind of carried on what the Runaways did. The Donnas from the late 90s into the early 2000s.
I love it.
I know. Well, it's like when your influence is punk rock, classic rock, and heavy metal, you get a lot of different sounds. And their early albums,
wheelhouse.
Right. Their early albums are definitely very punk rock, Ramones, that kind of vein. And then they kind of started doing, because they actually had an alternate band called the Electrocutes that did more metal stuff. They didn't want to confuse. Yeah, they didn't want to confuse like the what the songs they did with Electrocutes and stuff they did with the Donnas. So they had a different band. They had, unfortunately there are no more, but great live shows, and definitely did a lot of great covers too. Excuse me. They did cover Strutter for the soundtrack for that really bad movie, Detroit Rock City, and they did a lot. Including Living After Midnight, and they even do a cover of Can't Fight This Feeling, I think it was, or they do an REM cover too. But they do a lot of those, and they kind of embrace the heavier stuff later in the career. And unfortunately, their only real success was with the album Spend the Night. They had Take It Off was their only real commercial success. And but I mean,
that whole album though that's on is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so they were just a great rock and roll band.
All right, sorry, Eric.
2 is Pat Benatar. So pretty much for all the reasons that we already touched upon. So we can go on to Tim's number 2.
All right, well.
All right, Tim.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
I want you to ruin his number 1 now, next.
If you say my number 1, I'm leaving.
My number 2 is Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I thought going first would fix all this, but Tim's out of order.
He's always out of order.
This whole show's out of order. Just you talk about fantastic singing, cool songwriting, just amazing guitar playing. I mean, that's the whole package. The 2 of them right there, unstoppable.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that they did a lot of their stuff, they were a bar band for a long time, so it's like they really got good playing live before they really got a chance to record, and you can tell.
All right, Dayton, number 2.
My number 2, okay. So I had to. My number one and number two were very difficult choices because I knew both these acts were going to be on my list, and I think that I could flip these any day, any given day. But my number two is LACEY STURM from FLYLEAF. Just from the first song on the first album, I Am So Sick, you get the beauty in her voice and the yell in her voice, and it's spectacular. And they did a lot of touring before they got signed too, and you can tell because their first album would make my list of great debut albums because it's so good from beginning to end, and she can do the pretty sounding, she can do the melodic, and she has such a great growl when she needs to.
He's got a good voice.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she only did 3 albums with them, and they did get another singer. They didn't do a fourth album. Fourth album was okay. And she is doing solo stuff now. She actually did a song with the band Skillet. She did another version. There's a song with Breaking Benjamin where she did a vocal track as well on another remix of theirs. And her solo stuff is actually pretty good too.
All right. Well, that brings us around to the number ones.
Yeah, my number one is Heart. If you really want to know how good Ann Wilson is, that when Led Zeppelin when they did that Kennedy Honors show for Led Zeppelin, they did Stairway to Heaven, and Stairway to Heaven, everybody's sick of it or whatever.
The most overplayed song in the history of music, in my opinion.
But they do it so good. And I swear, I think you even see like a little tear. Robert.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's watching it. It's so powerful. But Ann Wilson, arguably the best female rock singer of all time.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Okay.
At least of classic rock.
Right.
And another one of the kind of like Pat Benatar. She even though she's older now, she still sings fantastic.
Yeah.
So
well, and Nancy's been busy doing movie soundtracks. Like she did the Almost Famous and a lot of stuff when she was married to Cameron Crowe. She did a lot of that stuff. She actually appears in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
In The Vet.
Yeah.
The Vet.
My number one choice is actually kind of out of left field for the rest of the list.
It's a guy.
It is it's a guy. Yes. It is.
Oh no, not again.
There
he is.
Frozen. All right, so my number one pick is somebody I actually discovered via YouTube. I'm not really sure what kind of following she has out in the wild of the real world. There's a guitar player I follow named Rob Scallon, and she's done some stuff on his channel. If you look at any of the stuff that he did with the double neck two-sided guitar, her name is Mary Spender.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And to me, she is just a fantastic singer, songwriter, very capable guitarist, and has just got the smoothest voice I've ever heard in my life.
You're taking Mary Spender over Hart and Pat Benatar.
Right now, for today's list, yes, because that is who I've been listening to, like, just nonstop for like the past month. And I've known about her for a lot longer than that, but I just I thought, I should look her up on Spotify. And I was just like, I put everything she's got in my playlist. I'm like, yep, that's amazing.
Do you smell toast? Did you possibly be having a stroke?
I told some people.
I don't want to hang on your pick.
I told some people the other day on Facebook. I shared a video and wow, she's got a really good voice. I was like, I could listen to her sing the phone book. All right, so that's my number one pick. That leads us up to Dayton Johnson.
Like I said, my number one and number two literally could have been flip-flopping, and it just depends on the day. But my number one is Amy Lee from Evanescence. And I the first time I heard the band was on the movie Daredevil soundtrack. When I was one of the 10 people that went and saw that movie. But yeah, somebody gifted me Fallen on CD, and it's such a great record from beginning to end. Every track is solid. Her voice is amazing. The piano playing is, you can't say anything bad about her.
Amy definitely influenced like another wave of hard rock female singers. Though.
Yeah.
Sure, a lot of them, cite her as a major influence.
I think a lot of even like the symphonic metal stuff, you can hear a lot of that in that genre.
Absolutely.
Which came, probably as a result of them. All right, so there's our top 5 picks for the best female artists and groups. If you guys got some differing opinions, we'd love to see it in the comments. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to Eric's channel, come on over to my channel and give a subscription too. Dayton, I swear one of these days he's going to start a channel.
Soon. I promise.
Cool. Very cool.
And I guess until next time, we'll see you around.
See everybody.
I can give the same love to you. You were all I'd ever need. You make my life feel so complete. I want you to feel the way that I do. You fill my heart with love that's pure and true. It's all I want. It's all I need. I have found my place inside the world inside you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Are your headphones plugged in?
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Yeah. We have been working on building. Me and my father-in-law have been building a chicken coop.
Yes. I'm ready to argue. Let's go.
Are you okay, Tim? Do you need us to call somebody?
I'm apparently just an idiot all the way around. And I had a freaking chicken coop I had to build.
Back when I used to study with Eric Johnson, that drummer in that band, he looks like me. I mean, he's a lumpy old dude. He's a killer drummer.